Welcome back to Alfred's Basic Adult Piano Course, Lesson Book Level 1. This video is Lesson 29, covering page 34 in our book, the G major and D7 chords for the left hand. So, the first pink box on the left is our G major chord. So remember the G position. The G chord is G with your fifth finger, B with your third finger, and the thumb on D. Okay. All played at the same time. So you want to play that several times until you get that nice, clean, clear sound. Just like with any chord in the past, if one finger or two fingers are playing before the other, like that, work on balancing it out. If that finger comes in first, like my pinky, that probably means I might be putting a little too much more weight on it than I need to. So work on balancing it out until you get that sound. The D7 chord is an odd one because you have a sharp, specifically F sharp. So the F that's being sharped, it's this key right here. Here's the F. Okay, so it's below the G that you were playing with your fifth finger. So if this is F, the next key to the right, white or black, but in this case it's black, is F sharp. So that'll be played with your fifth finger, F sharp. You can also think of it as the bottom of the three black key group. F sharp is the bottom note, C with your second finger, specifically middle C, and the thumb on D right above it. So C and D are right there together, and your fifth finger is on F sharp. Now this one's going to be a little bit more tricky to balance out because the keys themselves are not balanced. When you played the G chord, it was all white keys, flat, balanced. But as you know by now from playing sharps, the black keys are raised. They're higher up. So you may find yourself doing something like that, or that hitting the black key first because it's just closer to your hand. So once again, work on getting this clear sound. And don't be surprised if it takes a little while to achieve. That is okay, that's normal. Then the real trick is going back and forth between these chords. This is what we want to see. But getting there may not be so easy. Here's what you want to avoid. A lot of times people, when they play only white keys, and you may find yourself doing this, you may find yourself down here on the edge of the keys. It's easy to play down there. They react well. If you play up here, close to the soundboard, that's tough. They don't react so well because the keys are almost like, kind of like a spring in a way. And the edge of that, it springs up easier. So it's looser. It's just easy to hit that. This is stiff up here. If you can get your position right about here, it's going to make going to the D7 chord faster. Because look at where my pinky is. It's here, right next to the F sharp. So it makes sense to go from here to here rather than from down here up here. It's going to take longer. Now I can do it, but I've been playing for a very long time. But doing that, I don't like it. My elbows swinging out, my arms, and I just... It's choppier too. If I'm here, look at the motion. Very close. But that's not going to feel very easy at first because this is finger work. When I'm here, I'm moving my arm, my entire arm. So you're going to be really tempted to do this because it's just that much easier for beginners. But like I said, in the long run, it's going to hurt you because you're going to always be taking that extra time to make the jump. So I encourage you to play your G chord here so that you're right there for your D7. So you may want to practice the pinky, G to F sharp, just doing that. When you do it by itself, it makes a lot more sense. This seems ridiculous. So I encourage you to even do that. Instead of going to all 3 notes, you could go maybe 2 notes at a time. So for example, add the B to the G for the G chord, just G and B. And then go to the bottom 2 notes for the D7, which is F sharp and C. Now notice that your second finger, when you play the G chord, or even just the G and the B, the second finger should be very close to C. If it's over here, then you've got kind of the same issue we were already talking about. You've got more work to do. So try to keep it lined up on your G chord right above C. So when you go to F sharp and C, it's right there. The other thing is you don't want to do this. If your third finger shoots out, it takes that much longer to come back in. So if that ever happens, you can cover up, prevent that third finger from going far if your right hand is there to kind of cover it up. Okay? Then the last thing is to add in the D on the G chord. Now the D should be pretty easy because you play it in both chords. But still important that you don't get lazy with it. The thumb is the lazy, clumsy finger, so you don't want to do this. Although, if you're doing it as an exercise, that's not a bad idea. If you hold that thumb down on the D, you're going to find yourself really working these fingers. It's an excellent exercise, not just mentally, but physically. And after all, that is what we're doing here. We're strengthening these weaker fingers. Okay. So those are various ways you can break that down to make that transition a lot easier between the G chord and your D7. In the middle of the page, it says play the following several times. So they're starting you out with whole notes, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then just continuing that. The reason they're doing that, nice long notes, gives you a lot of time to think about the motion of moving to that D7 chord. It gives you a chance to think. When you get to the line below that, the rhythms speed up a little bit. You have less time to think. So at this point, this is a real test of how well you know the chords. So on that next line, it goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I highly encourage you to focus on just the half notes. I keep saying half notes, the whole notes, before you get to the line below it with the half notes and quarter notes. The quarter notes right here, it's a perfect example of the G position. If I'm right here, it's going to make it easier to get to that D7. If I'm down here, I'm jumping, I can do it. Again, I've been doing this for a long time, but it's not comfortable. I realize that I have to take more time. So the strong point I'm really trying to make in this lesson is train your hand to be up here. When you're going to black keys, be closer to the black keys, even when you're on the white keys. In the long run, you'll be glad you did it. Then finally, it says at the very bottom, preparation for the Cuckoo, which is our song on page 35. That'll be our next video. All you're doing is holding each of these 2 chords for 3 counts each. The Cuckoo is in 3/4 time, so it's just getting you prepared for what the left hand will be playing in that piece. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, etc., etc. So the big takeaway from this lesson, practice going from the G chord to the D7 and be very careful specifically about the pinky close to the black key, which means the other fingers, of course, have to be up here too. So not down here, but up here. Work on that until you get that nice, clean, clear sound on each chord, and you can get to each chord back and forth smoothly as well. And then you'll be ready to proceed to the cuckoo.